course, when we overreact to the football weekend, and a lot of overreacting to do. I've got been cracking my knuckles, been stretching, get my overreacting shoes on. I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready. Let's start with my opening thought. God's what you came for. Over the course of Friday night and Thursday night as well, there were a lot of the big games across the Texas high school football landscape were these really interesting cross-classification matchups. Obviously, a number of teams have started district play now. Even more of them will start in week 4. But this was a good week for good cross-classification matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the instance of 3 of the biggest games of the week, 3 of the games that we were keeping our closest eye on, I think all 6 of them got what they wanted. Because we got to view these non-district games the same way the coaches view them, which is these are building blocks. Yes, every team wants to win. Mm-hmm. That is not breaking news. Every team wants to win. But more importantly, these teams want to go in and get challenged, get pushed, face teams that are going to make them sweat in different ways. And I think for 6 teams in particular that I had my eye on, they got what they came for. Dangerfield and Timpson. Okay? Yes. Fantastic game, down to the wire. If you didn't hear, Timpson wins on a last-second touchdown run by Terry Bussey, who they put in at quarterback on the last drive of the game for his first drive at quarterback this season.
And he did that thing.
This one weird trick to win a football game, and Kerry Thurwanger did it. Put in the game genie, and they won. And so Timpson obviously feels good about that. I feel like Dangerfield, of course they'd rather have won that game. But I feel like they got what they came for. Mm-hmm. On the road against an elite team, took them to the wire, came up play short on the road. Don't think there's anything wrong with that. Brock and Wimberley on Thursday night. Same thing. There was a minute there where I thought Wimberley was going to run away with this thing. This game was on Texan Live. I was watching it pretty closely. Mm-hmm. It looked like Wimberley might run away with this thing. I thought you saw Brock's offense start to ignite. Obviously, this game came down to the wire, the final possession of the game. Wimberley pulls away with the win. Again, Brock would rather not be 1-2, especially heading to Gunner this week. But
this is not a situation that they haven't been in before with a crazy non-district schedule.
100%. And I think for both Brock and Wimberley, I think all that said to me is, yeah, these teams are who we thought they were. Mm-hmm. They're both elite state championship contenders in their respective classifications. The last one was Refugio and Edna.
Yep.
Right? Refugio and Edna play a slam-bang affair, back and forth, goes to overtime, goes to double overtime, I think. And Refugio pulls out a 2-point win. Get a win over Edna. Again, I think both teams feel really good coming out of that. Refugio, obviously, you punched up a full classification and took out a top 10 team, defended the home turf, and came away with gutty plays down the stretch. Nothing but good vibes in Refugio. I think Edna feels really good as well. Going on the road, decent little road trip to Refugio, a notoriously hard place to play, playing a team that with that kind of speed and matching up with them and going toe-to-toe with them. Of course, you don't want to lose to a smaller team, as is the case with Dangerfield and with Edna. But I think for all 6 of those teams, they all got what they wanted. They all got what they came for on Friday night. That's my opening thought. Game of the week. A lot to choose from, but mine has to be the other Thursday night affair besides Brock Wimberley, the one that ended up stealing the show. Frisco Lone Star 35, Frisco Reedy 32 in a district opener. If you did not hear how this game went down, it was a wild affair. Mm-hmm. Back and forth all night. Then what ends up happening is Reedy takes the lead on a touchdown pass with 51 seconds remaining. Let's see. Braden Hernandez finds Connor McGrath for a 7-yard touchdown with 51 seconds remaining to take a 32-29 lead. They get the 2-point conversion to go up 3 points. Mm-hmm. Lone Star driving. They convert a 4th down near midfield, but then it stalls out on the Reedy 42. Too far to kick a field goal. Mm-hmm. That's a 59-yard field goal.
Yeah, you're
not going to work.
No.
I don't care who their kicker is. I'm sure their kicker's great. So they got to go. They got one play And here's what happened on CW 33.
He runs, throws, over the middle, it's caught! 5, touchdown! No flags on the play! Winston Pollard, tonight's hero for the Lone Star Rangers as they win it in a walk-off touchdown pass.
A 42-yard walk-off touchdown pass from Colin Blackstock to Winston Pollard. Coach Jeff Rayburn after the game said they'd call that play slice, kind of draw the safety out and then kind of hit it up the middle on the seam. And Colin Blackstock laid it in beautifully. Winston Pollard, the game-winning and real argument to be made, district championship winning.
Yeah. No kidding.
42-yard touchdown pass, a walk-off. Had to be the game of the week.
The shout out to the producer and the director of that game for catching the surrender cobra there at the end.
Oh no, the Reedy band! No. Anyway, game of the week. Game of the week.
Yeah,
Lone
that was
Star,
awesome.
Lone Star and Reedy. Am I overreacting?
Probably.
Is Texas back?
Oof.
They have all the familiar symptoms of back.
Mm-hmm.
That was a masterpiece from Texas.
Yeah. That's the largest home loss for Alabama since Saban's been there, correct?
It snaps a 26-game home winning streak. Make no mistake about it.
It wasn't
This was a real Texas is back moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're back. Time will tell. I may be overreacting. But that's the kind of performance that when you're back, you do. Because they were very good defensively. Anthony Hill Jr., I don't need to tell you guys this, is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Very good defensively. And offensively, Quinn Ewers looked like that guy. The receiver core really stepped up. They got some, and furthermore, I thought there were two key kind of spells in this game that were most important. One of them was when Alabama took the lead in the third quarter. They came back, they took the lead, for the first time. And Texas immediately counterpunched. Mm-hmm. How many times does Alabama, at home especially, bury a team at that point?
Yep.
They immediately had a counterpunch. The other thing is that final drive. They're up 10, Texas gets the ball. And they just milk that clock.
Yep.
And they go on that was long way to go now. Long way to go. That's a championship drive. Mm-hmm. And I know it didn't end in points, but it ended in something better, which is the victory formation. Mm-hmm. A dominant performance from Texas at Alabama. Now it gets fun for them. Now you got to go and prove that you're not a one-game team. Mm-hmm. This is as close to back as we've seen Texas in a long time.
Well, and I think something that has not gone unsaid, but just to continue to point it out, that was Quinn Ewers silencing a lot of people.
Oh my gosh.
Because you take a look back at the game beforehand against Rice, and every single person was going, can Ewers throw a deep ball?
Yeah.
Like, he's supposed to be this 5-star, incredible athlete. Where the hell is the deep ball? And he went out there, and he told everybody to shut their mouth. And when's the last time that you've seen a Texas quarterback do that? Go out there with something to prove, and proved it.
Colt?
Yeah, honestly. That
really impressive from Texas. There's no two ways about it. No two ways about it. That was a really impressive performance from Texas. And Steve Sarkisian called a hell of a game, too.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
It's time for the Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Hashtag Dudes Rock.
No.
If you got a dude who's a Dude of the Week candidate.
If you got a dude who's rocking.
Hashtag Dudes Rock. Tweet him to me. This week's hashtag Dudes Rock Dude of the Week. Laredo United quarterback Axel Chavez Jr. Mm-hmm. This dude went bananas in their 62-59 win on the road at Seguin. He went 31 of 42, 357 yards, and 5 touchdowns passing. Plus, he ran for another touchdown. Congratulations to Axel Chavez Jr. of Laredo United. This week's Dudes Rock dude of the week. Now it's time for Tepper's Player of the Week. We're also going to South Texas. And you know I love offensive linemen.
Yes.
They're not going to get the credit for this touchdown for Kingsville King in their win over Corpus Christi Ray. Terrell Jackson, T. Jackson, the running back, is going to get it. But they should get the credit.
All right, 3 minutes left. Everett. Oh, no, that's T. Jackson. And the line is just pushing and pushing. Wow. Still pushing. Still pushing. 30. Still going. 25. Still going. He's incredible. What a beautiful play by the offensive line. Like I said, folks, I was an offensive lineman when I played here, and they
just like you draw it up. He was wrapped up. I watched it like 4 or 5 times. He was wrapped up at the 42.
Yes. And they said, nope,
and
you're not going to stop running.
Shoved all the way to the end zone. So,
rules.
Again, T. Jackson, Terrell Jackson, the running back for Kingsville King, is going to get the credit for the touchdown.
Yes.
Split that game ball 5 ways, okay? Give it to each one of those big boys up front because the Kingsville King offensive line got my play of the week this week. Quick break for a hot take. Dana Holgorsen is super fired, guys. He's so fired.
Oh, man, that was just
First
awful.
of all, congratulations to Rice. Mm-hmm. They were the better team on Saturday. That's not debatable. They were up 28-0. They coughed up a lead and then ended up going to overtime and coming away with a win to win their first Bayou Buckets 2010. Fabulous. Congratulations to Rice. They rushed the field understandably. That's a big, big, big win for Mike Bloomgren and that staff. Congratulations to the Owls. This is the kind of loss that gets you fired. This is the kind of loss that makes the money people real mad. Mm-hmm. You can't lose to Rice.
Especially after going out there and beating UTSA the week before.
By the way,
what happened?
I mean, here's the thing. I've thought about that a lot. So they basically beat UTSA. They were like 3 plays away from losing that game, right? It's UTSA. If they're 0-2, is he fired now?
Yeah, I mean, he might be because here's the deal. They've got TCU coming up this week at home, their first Big 12 matchup since entering the thing. That's not looking good. Then you go out against Sam Houston. What happens if they drop against Sam Houston?
And I'll tell you this, by the way, Sam Houston, their defense is stingy.
Yep.
I do not like the
big buyout, but they've got the donors to be able to get that.
Now they're in the Big 12.
Yeah. There's no hope against TCU this week.
That's a bad loss for Houston. Mm-hmm. Ready for your of the week?
Yeah. Yep.
Lake Highlands 51, Highland Park 41. Let me make sure I get this right. So Highland Park hosts state-ranked Louisville last week, and me, like a dum-dum, I'm out there saying, well, this is when Louisville walks into Highlander Stadium and gets a win. Mm-hmm. The Highland Park comes away and looks the part, looks fantastic in their win, right? The next week, they take on Lake Highlands, and they give up 51 points. They give up 616 yards of total offense, and Lake Highlands looks like a world beater. Trip Hawley was great. Deontay Dean, their running back, ran for 376.
Yeah.
Lake Highlands is pretty good. I don't want to take anything away from the Wildcats. They are pretty good. They are now 2-1. But that definitely got my of the week. It also finished on Saturday because of all the lightning.
Yep. Yeah, if you missed that one, you can go back and watch it live on Texan Live.
Time for your wild stat of the week. Honeygrove and Tidehaven have combined to outscore their opponents 269-0. This has been your wild stat of the week. They're 5-0, by the way, if you can tell. Tidehaven and Honeygrove combined to outscore their opponents 269-0 in 5 games. Impressive stuff. Now it's time for perhaps the most treasured segment in Monday Morning Fallout. The Matt Step, he got that dog in him player of the week.
And now, the Matt Step. He got that dog in him. Player of the week.
Hey y'all, this is Matt Stepp with Dave Campbell's Texas Football, live at Kincaid Stadium here in Dallas, getting ready for DeSoto's South Oak Cliff. And it's time for the Mad Step Week 3 He Got That Dog in Him award winner. And that award winner this week is none other than Texarkana Pleasant Grove quarterback, defensive back, Makari Johnson. Makari Johnson today's win over Midland Christian, ran for 2 scores, threw for 2 others, and played a great game on the defensive side of the ball. Congrats, Akari. You, sir, have got that dog in you.
This has been the Matt Step He Got That Dog in Him Player of the Week.
Congratulations to Akari Johnson of Pleasant Grove, this week's recipient of the Matt Step. He got that dog in him Player of the Week. You have my attention, Willis.
They're balling.
Wildcats went on the road to New Caney in a district game and mollywopped New Caney, 54-21. You know about DJ Lagway, and he was great. 339 yards, 5 touchdowns passing, another 62 on the ground. But they're a lot more than just him. Terry Lawrence, their running back, can go. They got another running back in, I believe it's Darius Johnson, DeLeon Johnson, who can go. DeBron Hampton at the wide receiver spot. And they can play some defense, y'all, too.
Yeah.
Willis has my attention. They should have your attention, too. Get excited for Albany and Hawley this week.
God, I love this game.
How about a matchup of defending 2A state champs out there in the big country?
They played last year in the regular season.
Mm-hmm. And Albany was really banged up, if I remember correctly, and Hawley got the win. But it ended up being a matchup of eventual state champs. So, like, what do you take from that? Fascinating matchup here, Albany and Hawley. And Hawley appears to have figured things out. I was a little cautious about them because they lost to Jim Ned in week 1, and then they look kind of shaky against Lubbock Roosevelt in week 2. Maybe they figured things out, but Albany's coming to town. They're going to be a tough test. Final thought: Texas State and UTSA is why college football is great and why realignment sucks. College football, the magic of college football, is at its core regional.
Yep.
It is supposed to be about you playing teams that are near you. And what you saw at Texas State and UTSA is the perfect example of that. Those are 2 teams that are not in the same conference, right? But they are, and they're 2 relatively young FBS programs. Both came up to the FBS ranks at the same time, 2012. But they have formed this rivalry. I know UTSA fans will say, well, Texas State's never beaten us, so it's not a rivalry. It's a rivalry. Get over it. There is that kind of animosity between those 2 programs, and it's only comes because of regionality, because you're fighting over the same turf. And that's what makes college football great, is that regionality. It's also why all this realignment and Washington playing Penn State in conference play doesn't make any sense, and it takes away from the magic of college football. It's okay to say that just because it makes sense on the balance sheet doesn't mean that it's good for college football. As I was watching Texas State and UTSA and just seeing the scene down there, it reminded me that is the magic of college football. And with all this realignment, we're getting robbed of a lot of it, and that sucks. That's Monday Morning Fallout.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.